right, let's get started. Welcome, thank you for attending the Six Bridges Book Festival. My name is Allison McKeever, and I am the librarian in charge of buying the nonfiction for all of CALS. So I was very excited to see our authors were coming. So welcome to our panel. Let me do an introduction for you all. First up, we have Gwenna Laithland, parenting unexpert. Gwenna was born and raised in Oklahoma, where she got her start as a writer at the age of 18. Accessible, digestible, and rooted in reality, debut book Momma Cusses helps the readers with navigating family dynamics and cultivating emotional resilience for adults, children, and everyone in between. Then we have Jess H. Gutierrez. She lives in Northwest Arkansas with her firefighter wife and 3 wild kids. She is a speaker and a former journalist whose work has been published in numerous Arkansas newspapers and who has earned awards from the Arkansas Press Association. A product of genetics and day drinking is a frank, raucous, and bawdy collection of essays about coming of age with the oddest jobs, misadventures in queer love, and endearing parenting fails. So welcome. To start off our panel, I think we have agreed that perhaps our theme is irreverent motherhood and how we got here, perhaps. So to start our questions, yes. Yeah, I mean,
Next question.
For the uninitiated who haven't yet bought your books or read them or listened, tell us how you got here.
So I was outnumbered by my own spawn. I got pregnant in 2017, and then my uterus did a going out of business sale and gave me 2 for 1. So I had twins, and I got priced out of the job market. And I realized that despite those not being my first children, I already had one that was probably not that fucked up. I had forgotten pretty much everything that I'd ever thought I knew about raising tiny humans, because there was an 11-year age gap between the first one and the second 2. And I realized I had an opportunity. I talk too damn much, and I'm an attention whore. I could create the resource that I wished I'd had when I was trying not to be the reason my kids need therapy. And so I hit social media, and I am one of the few people on the planet who can say the pandemic hit at a really good time for me. Because I posted my first social media video about parenting, about relating to my kids, about raising my kids in February of 2020. And then we all got trapped in the house, and we were bored in the house and in the house bored, and all didn't have anything better to do but watch my dumb ass talk about my children. So, sorry, not sorry. Thanks for the career boost. Okay, your turn.
I got here, I started as a journalist in Arkansas for a while, and then I found out that they don't give journalists money. And buying food without money is so hard. So I went back to school and became a respiratory therapist, and I had my first baby. My wife and I had our first baby via in vitro in 2015. And I did the mom stuff, and the mom stuff's really, really fucking hard every single day, especially this age, right here in the baby stroller. They're hard, wonderful, but there's so many tears, and I had my second baby I had my second baby in 2017, and I was up all night with him because he sucked. And I looked at him, and in a moment of delirium, I said to him, "You can do anything you want to do. Anything. You can be anything." And then I looked at myself and I was like, but I'm not doing that for myself. And that night I got up with his next feeding, which maybe was just attached to that feeding. And I wrote my first children's book. And it didn't sell, but I just kept going because I was like, I'm gonna let these little fuckers know that like you can do it. Like you can do it. And I did. I got an agent, and we finally sold the book after failing to sell several other books, and we adopted our third last year. He's a holy terror. He's a holy terror. I'm not okay. But And so we're here. I dragged all of them here to this book festival, and it's been a nightmare. And I'm so glad to be here by myself today. So thank you for scheduling something I could leave for. Thank you.
My podcast is at home. They're back in Oklahoma. They come to Atlanta. I was like, love you, hope I don't die, bye.
I'm glad that we could provide a moment of hopeful sanity. I'm not sure.
I'm not going back.
I don't blame you.
Wait, is yours
I'm not
past
going
period?
They're safe. They're fine.
So for those of you who haven't read the books yet, Gwenna's is a parenting book. As a nonfiction person, that is in the 600s, so you know. Jess's is a memoir, so she's in the biographies. What I found hilarious is that in both of your intros, you referenced why you didn't write each other's form. So tell me about why you chose the format.
We did.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yes, we did. Why did we do that?
Yes, well, that's my question.
Gwenna's gonna start. And then I will know by the end of what she says why I did it.
Exactly. So why?
And what's about to come out of my face hole?
What drew you to your?
I'm too fat for these chairs!
There is a slide at the bottom. What drew you to your forms, and why did you choose the method that you chose?
It is fascinating that you think I chose that.
Right.
I kept writing words, and they kept arranging themselves in somewhat sensical formations. And someone asked me, they're like, how did you come up with the idea for the too long didn't reads? At the end of my chapters, I have these little chapter summaries. And I was like, oh, I didn't come up with that. My editor told me to do that, just straight up. That was not my free thinking at all. She was like, you should write this. I was like, okay. The last chapter for non-parents, yeah, I don't even remember writing that one. She's like, you should add this thing in there for people who don't have kids. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And now it's published, and I legit don't remember writing that. So as far as
Fugue state, right?
sounds like something I would say. I just don't remember saying it. No, but I didn't so much choose this format as it was one of those, depending on your bent, some will say it was an inspired choice, it was a muse choice, it was a spirit-born choice, whatever it was. This is just how the book popped into my head. There was no forethought decision-making, it was just, if I were making the resource, how would I want to read the resource? And I shit you not, the first thing that popped, my book is called Momma Cusses, this cannot be surprising. The very first book that popped into my head when I was like, if I were to make a field guide for parents, Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks. That was the first book that popped into my head. So my parenting book is based off a satirical zombie survival guide by Mel Brooks' son.
That checks out. I like that. So me, this is equally as ridiculous. I have 3 kids and there's no time. There's no time. So all of my books that I've written, it's at 2 a.m. still, even now that they're bigger. So I write in essay form because, well, probably undiagnosed ADHD, 3,000 words is about all I can do, you know? But I have written all of my books in my notes app on my phone. So in bed, on my phone, probably looking like I'm looking at porn to my wife on the other side of the bed. She's like, what are you doing? Because I'm furiously writing. But that's how I've written all my books. And
do you leave the little clickies on?
Oh yeah, all night. I'm like, you like that, you like that, you like that. No, she did make me turn those off. But yeah, I like an essay. It's just a small bite, you know, a small bite, a small story. And I like that my book can kind of be read out of order, because if you are a busy parent, you can read one story and forget about it and move on to the next and the next and the next, and they don't really build on each other. So, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I will say both of your books can be taken in bite sizes, which as a parent is very needed time-wise, and also, you know, sometimes it can be heavy, like remembering your past and also thinking about parenting.
Not just as a parent, as a millennial. Our attention spans are absolute shit.
Yes. Yeah, that leads me to another question. I think your books are in a conversation with each other about how our pasts as millennials, growing up in the 90s, how that affects our present as parents. And so I think there's a conversation happening there. And so what is it about your books that are emblematic of the years that we all grew up?
Well, I specifically put the word therapy on the cover, so there's that. I sort of got wrapped up to, I was told by the internet in 2020 that I practiced something called gentle parenting. I didn't know it had a name. I didn't know people had thought about it that hard. I was just really trying not to mess up. I was doing the best I could. And in my book, I describe the big blow up, that moment where I rose above myself in my awareness because I was screaming at my daughter. I mean, top of the lungs screaming. No one deserves to be screamed at like this, most especially an 8 or 9 year old child, 7 or an 8. Look, I don't even remember when I fucked up real hard, that I had an out of body experience for how poorly I was parenting. And that moment, that was the point at which it wasn't just an out of body experience. I was thrown back to being, looking through my daughter's eyes, watching my mom lose her absolute shit on me for something that I didn't do wrong, for something that my mom didn't do wrong, for something that was a whole lot of thoughts that all coalesced into one horrible string of decision making. And she lost her shit on me, and I turned around and I did the exact same thing to my daughter. And I immediately went, no, I don't ever want to see her. I don't want to see her hold her tears in. I don't want to see her flinch. She flinched from me. I'm her mother. Fuck. That was the past rushing back, and that was a pivotal moment of change. And all I could do was, my mom made a lot of good choices, she made a lot of bad choices. I made a lot of good choices and a lot of bad choices. The only thing I could offer with all of this wormy little information that just lives in my head, whether I want it to or not, the only thing I could do was craft from my past examples of what not to do. Like I had more of, all right, so 2 + 2 is definitely not 5. That we're pretty sure of. It's also probably not 3. Still don't know what it is, but these are things we know not to work. So we're not gonna deal with that. So I had to go back into my past, and my mom took like a year to finally read the book. I know it hasn't been out a year, but it was finished like 3 years ago. My mom took a year because she was terrified of how much of her failure was going to be in my book. Even though we'd had conversations, I was like, Mom, I'm gonna keep this story in here. And it's maybe not the best story, but reflects on me, not on you. She goes, no, baby, everything you wrote reflects on me because I taught you how to do that. I was like, Mom, you need therapy too. Please.
You know, when I wrote my book, like I said, I'd had several books that my agent tried to sell and they didn't. And my agent said, cut the shit, Jess, write the book. And I think agents say that. They're just hoping like something better's in there.
It's just agent cliche at this point.
Please have something better. So I called my mom and I was like, hey Mom, my agent said it's time to write the book. And my mom was like, the book of like your childhood? And I said, yeah, the book of my childhood. And my mom was like, well, you need to do it, babe. And I was like, but Mom, like, you might look bad. You might look crazy. And she was like, I was crazy. And so it was funny because my publisher made me get permission slips signed by my parents. I'm 40 years old being like, Dad, can you sign this? You know, so it was really funny. But I think that it's funny because through writing the book, I realized that every kid we have is a practice kid. I was my mom's practice kid. She didn't know what she was doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But I want to say I'm doing my best, but some days I'm not. Some days I'm not. Some days I'm getting up and not even putting my contacts in because I don't want to see the day, so I'm just doing the things that make it to bedtime. And I think that, you know, I see that in my parents too. My mom, she was trying. She didn't know what she was doing, and she didn't have a lot of good examples. So I think that a lot of that, and my book is rife with pop culture, and you know, and Britney Spears shows up in my book way more than an adult should be talking about. You know, things like that. I think that it was so important. There's a Tamagotchi on the cover of my book. We all share so much of this elder millennials, we all have the same memories. So even though my book is about my stories, so many people are like, yes, I rode in the back of pickup trucks and almost died every day of my life. I got to, when a guy offered me candy from a van, I took the candy. You know, like that was us, that's what we did. So I just think there are so many shared experiences.
Yeah, for sure. I think even though your books are also, but yours too, there's so many specific personal moments of it, but that makes it universal. It's like, you know, writing a good song, when you get more specific, you actually get more personal and universal. Speaking of those, what from your childhood is perhaps your favorite questionable parenting technique that was used on you?
How long is this session?
This is being live streamed, right? Like,
Yeah.
The censors are involved now.
Well, live streaming works. Okay.
Fucking yes! All right.
Go.
What questionable one? You go first. You've all told me once.
Oh my gosh, I mean, really, we rode in the back of vans. Remember, there was a commercial, everybody talks about this now. There was a commercial at 10 o'clock that asked our goddamn parents if they knew where they were.
Where are your children?
And sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they didn't. They were like, shit, have you checked? Do we have kids? Where are the kids? And I'm on my bike, living my best life, beating up neighborhood bullies. I am out there living the nightlife. And my parents, I don't know were they watching Miami Vice? Is that what our parents would have been watching? They were busy.
Oh, it was Magnum PI. It was definitely Magnum
I knew there was
PI.
something. Like, where are your kids? I know where my kids are right this. I'm tracking them right now. My parents had no idea. So that feels questionable. You know? My mom's like, it was a different time. They started putting kids on milk cartons during my time. There was a reason for that.
No, I had the streetlight curfew, which I selectively, obeyed.
I mean, if you live in the country, there's no street light, though.
We had the one. You had to be over there to see it, but we had one. Phil turned it on manually. It didn't have the light sensors, so it's fine. No, but I had the street curfew. Yeah, I do think the unfettered independence. I think our generation may have swung the other way, where we tend to helicopter too hard. There's a middle ground that we have not yet achieved. Believe it or not, Gen Z might be our only hope for fixing this shit. Because we were abandoned to the wind. I did it. There's a horse outside. There's 2 horses outside. Okay, I'm sorry.
Is there really? There are.
I thought you meant in your childhood.
Fucking Little Rock. I don't know.
My ADHD is just ADHD. It's so hard. It's gonna have whiplash tomorrow.
I will say, I will have to go to college with my daughter to tie her shoes. That's how hard we helicopter. It's bad. It's bad. We are a different kind of weird.
Well, it's the pendulum swing. Our parents were like, don't die. I did a skit on the internet of my child, my oldest, trying to go 3 doors down to her friend's house. I was like, make sure your location is turned on. Make sure you text me when you get there. Text me when you're leaving so I know how long to expect. Do all these things. Do you have your pepper spray? Do you have your Glock? Do you have, are all of these check boxes checked? Okay, great. And then my mom would be on the phone with her friend Sharon. Okay, so Sharon's husband's totally boinking Allison, right? Sorry.
Nasty things. Stay away from Sharon.
I was like, Mom, I'm gonna go play in the abandoned construction pit where the junkies also hang out after dark. She's like, okay, be home when the streetlights come on.
Don't fall on any needles, babe.
That was her biggest thing. Not stay away from where the junkies hang out. Just beware the needles they may have left behind.
I am not taking you to the fucking hospital for a tetanus shot. What? Okay. Am I not up to date?
Walk it off. Mom, I don't think you can walk off HIV.
Mom, why were they so bad and why are we so crazy?
Because they let us get HIV from the construction site.
Oh my God. I tried to put my 7-year-old in one of those backpacks the other day and he was like, no fucking way, Mom. I'm kidding, I did it.
No, I'm so mad. So I've got 6-year-olds and now they have this little tush baby thing, this like pad thing that you could put on your
so
head.
jealous of those.
So they did not have those. My children are only 6. What do you mean? You just, I'm gonna need a hip replacement because of these children, and now you just, fuck you guys.
You should have just brought them. They could be right here. I can feed one. Alice thinks feed one.
Do you think it's like a meerkat?
I don't know. My kids will do it. That's how bad we are.
So I think we.
All right, go ahead, moderate this.
I'm gonna moderate back into sanity for a moment.
Corral us.
I think we've covered perhaps what our challenges were from our childhood, but what is the gift of growing up in the 90s that
We are really fucking funny.
we have to be.
We are funny and we are independent. I mean, we are really independent. I mean, I think so.
Okay, well, maybe we are not. I'm very codependent. Is that the same thing?
Okay, that works. There's some
No.
dependency.
No, but I did fly on an airplane all by me onesies. No one came with me.
Congrats.
Gwenna, you've already admitted to me that you flew in first class and no other person could talk to you or look at you.
It was only a bachelor upgrade, okay? It was all by itself. I don't people good. Yeah, no, I really do think it's our ability to self-deprecate. Our parents cannot do that. We can not just self-deprecate, but we can introspect. That's what's spending entirely too much time on our own, being babysat by PBS and Cartoon Network, more than actual human beings, is we got comfortable with thinking our own thoughts and being able to go, well, that was a dumb thought. I should never entertain that one again. We're very aware of our intrusive thoughts. We tease them. They're ever present, but it also means that we're okay with thinking all the thoughts. We can spend time in our own brains. Some of us not very long before the anxiety takes over, but that's a diagnosis, not a generational thing.
Well, and I think that building on that, we can apologize. If my kid has a conversation with me and says, that really hurt my feelings, I can be like, God, what's a dick? Like,
Yeah.
I can do that. And my mom, I mean, that she couldn't have done that because you didn't do that. You were wrong.
To this day, my mom has, in the only way she can, no, I may have made some mistakes. May have. Mom. Yeah, I was trying my best. No one's taken that away from you, but may have. Can we rewind back to the May? You did. Well, like, you're perfect. I'm not saying I am, Mom. I wrote a book that proves it.
I remember at school, my dad was like a chain smoker and hot box, rolled the windows up, all the things. And at school they would tell us, if your parents smoke, because I guess it was becoming not trendy to kill your kids with, cigarettes. So they would tell us at school, tell your parents not to smoke. I remember one teacher told us to hide the cigarettes. Don't do that.
Oh.
Do not do that don't do it.
I once dumped out my dad's Budweiser.
Oh, no.
The fact that you are here.
Well, he's not. So.
Who won that battle?
He died before I did, and he stopped talking when I was 11, so I didn't.
I mean, a win.
I think it was about the beer.
Okay, yeah.
That's fair. Pivoting now, I do want to talk, your book cover colors are almost identical, and also one of my favorite colors is this, perhaps generational, I'm not sure, but I want to talk about book covers and like the actual technical process of writing all of this trauma into a book.
I'm gonna bitch about shit. You tell your happy story first.
Okay, so this was my first book that sold, and I'd had so many, so I was just so thrilled that anybody was going to pay me for this, and they sent me, Penguin Random House sent 7 or 8 ideas, and they act like they want the author to really participate, but they know what they want. They know what they want, and I said, I love them all, and my agent was like, fucking stop. Don't let them all. We have to fix some things. And so anything they sent back, I was like, I love it, I love it, I love it. And so we finally came to this, which really worked, I think. I really love it. It's a dead Tamagotchi in a martini glass.
I was going to say, just noted.
Yeah, so
Tamagotchi is dead.
yeah. So I was really excited. I mean, I think they literally, they did exactly what my agent asked. I have a very strong agent, and I'm a big wuss, so I was like, whatever they do, whatever, I don't care. And that's what we came up with. So it does have a roller skate on the back, so that made me happy.
So my cover journey was just a tiny bit different. I hate this. I despise everything about it. The colors are not bad. I wasn't mad about the blue and the purple. I came from a marketing background. I spent a decade in content marketing, which is just fancy for taking people's boring shit and making it slightly less boring for money. So I understand marketing is not for me. I don't have to love this for it to appeal to other human beings. However, I really fucking hate this cover. First of all, that's supposed to be me.
They got the glasses right.
They got the glasses right. At no point has my hair been in a shag.
But the number of times I've seen you do this since we've been here, it's a lot. No, never once.
It's giving Stepford Wives.
Oh, what the fuck happened to my nose? Where is it? But they got the nasal piercing that I don't wear anymore. They got that in there. And then there's this magical sticker called TikTok Sensation. If you follow me on social media, like TikTok, you'll know that I have been dead set against this sticker for all of the ages. I was like, this really dates me. Like, I'm already a millennial. I'm already dated. But this really sort of puts a pin in what should be a nominally evergreen content. No parenting book is an evergreen content because parenting is a landscape that constantly shifts. I did not have post-pandemic babies. I will not be able to talk to parents with post-pandemic high schoolers because I don't have any of those. Mine are older than that, they'll be done. I did not want them to put this on there. They sent me 6 options. I was like, I like 1, 2, and 3. They're like, we're gonna go with 6. I was like, well, fuck y'all too.
MySpace sensation.
It is beautiful.
MySpace sensation. Right, well, that's what I'm saying. In 5 years, who is going to care that I was a TikTok sensation? Like Kesha? TikTok on the clock.
Speaking of social media of all sorts, both of your books touch on the importance in your past and in your present of a village, of making sure that you have other people to farm out help, or you had other people that helped parents, your parents, and I'm sure now today. Can you talk a little bit more about what is the village, and is it unique to our generation?
It is unique to our generation in that it got a lot more spread out. Part of it became virtual. A lot of people's connection with other parents, that is part of why I switched. I said that I started social media in 2020, and I did. But prior to that, I'd been writing on a site called Medium, and I'd been writing parenting articles. No one gave a shit or read them, but they were there. That's what I was doing, is I'd started that resource. I decided to make my very first post on TikTok because I was tired and I was lonely and I felt alone. And being lonely and feeling alone are 2 different things. I wanted someone else to go, yeah, no, I get it. And then I realized after a couple videos of people going, I get it. Oh, I'm doing the same for them. They feel like I understand them because we have never had a unique experience among us. Got it. So for me, the social media became about feeling not alone, and then it shifted to making sure that other people don't feel alone. Because so much of our village is virtual. We can now see, we have unprecedented access to pediatricians and general health through things like Blueberry. We can see a doctor online for minor things. That doesn't replace an in-person doctor, please. But my best friends live in Kentucky and Minnesota and Illinois while I live in Oklahoma. And we talk about our kids, and we shit talk our kids, and we talk up our kids, and we exchange pictures of, does this look like Fitz disease, or is it hand, foot, mouth? Because it's his fucking hand, foot, mouth. I'm throwing it out. The whole child. It's my 7th case this year. That's happening in my village, from Illinois to Oklahoma to Kentucky to Minnesota. We see each other maybe once every couple of years, but that doesn't lessen that is my village. I do have people close to me in geographic closeness that we do other things. Mainly, if you don't take this child from me, I may do something illegal and I cannot afford to be arrested right now. I need you to watch my kid for like 2 hours. And then we exchange, but I do think that the village is different. And I think that's been a reckoning to a lot of millennials and younger, that the village we used to have where we would go to the butcher, and then we had a mechanic down the street, and then we had a cobbler who could fix that shoe for us. Yeah, that's gone, and it is okay to miss that. But we do have to embrace that our village just looks different, but it still can be really effective.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I think that, I mean, I saw my mom struggle a lot with mental health issues when she was younger. And I think that if she just had someone else, I mean, obviously she needed more help than that, but if she'd had someone to reach out to and say, I'm not okay, like I'm not okay, and other people that she saw were struggling with everything it would have not been so lonely for her. And maybe she wouldn't have had as many crazy moments, you know? And I think it's so important to admit that we're all messy and that there are just so many wonderful parts, but there are ugly parts too, and that we are all having them. I think that there was so many people, Pinterest moms and Instagram moms, and everyone made it look so neat and tidy and easy, but what happened before that fall photo? Did your kid lose his shit and have to have a dum-dum to smile? That's what happened to me. Surely it was happening to other people too. And so
I can still smell one of our family photos because my kid puked and we just moved 6 feet to the left, so the whole time we're smiling.
And that's what everyone
Pile of vomit over there.
I get that your whole family is in white on the beach and all that stuff, but I promise you I just started my period and I want to run back for my regular, you know what I mean? It's just not perfect. And I think it's really important for us to share that experience with each other. I mean, it makes it less hard when we have other people that admit that I love these kids and I would literally bury someone in my yard for them. But God, sometimes I do want to run away from home, you know? And you have to have people that see that, I think. It makes you feel seen, at least.
Yeah, I think that has changed even in the last decade. Like, we went from perfect Pinterest families to now openly telling the world are crazy. And what happened? Is that like the pandemic? I'm not sure.
No, I think that really goes back to we were the generation that we were left alone with our thoughts so much. We didn't learn good inside voices. So we just kind of say whatever comes out. And I think there is this, the more we are able to sit with our thoughts, the more we can introspect, the more we are able to admit, you know what, I'm having trouble processing this, I need help, I need to look into therapy. My children are struggling with this one particular thing and I need to talk to an occupational therapist. It's not a source of shame. We've sort of undone that stigma, and it's not our generation alone. The Gen X, the boomers, all have sort of worked together to unpack a lot of those lockouts on the ability to discuss things. But because the millennial generation were left alone so much, we sort of led the charge on, let's be honest with each other. We all know what the ideal looks like. We all watched Dick Van Dyke. We all watched I Love Lucy. We all watched Leave It to Beaver because our parents incessantly turned on TV Land at like 9 o'clock at night. We saw the ideal, but now we need to discuss that things don't work that way. They didn't work that way even then. We just wanted to pretend it, and so we watched it on TV. Now we have this opportunity to be open about, if we're still chasing the ideal, let's discuss what those obstacles are. These kids fucking suck, y'all. They're bad at everything. And somehow that's my problem? Damn it.
Speaking of TV, who are your favorite sitcom moms or dads?
I mean, I'm just gonna stick with Danny Tanner. Yeah. He did move in like a friend into the basement and like an uncle, and they all had questionable feeling. There was a lot going on.
It was his village.
And you know, I mean, I think I wrote about this, but who really did it right was Master Splinter. He raised those 4 babies on his own.
He did, and he was going through a lot himself.
He was? I mean, he's a rat! That's not what he had signed up for.
Listen, I was clearly in a different television place than you were, because none of my families had fucking parents. They were just all orphans.
Yeah, that is something else that should probably
like the best father figure I had wasn't mine, it was King Triton. And she didn't have a mom.
Those nipples.
No, I
again.
just, late at night, I need you to consider what the logistics are of those babies existing in the Wall-E universe. Just,
IVF and the artificial wombs. It's the future.
are you sure?
It has to be. Because physics don't let that happen.
You thought about this as much as what?
It's not hard.
We're gonna debate later because that's false.
There
There's a baby farm on that boat.
I think you called it a sex farm earlier, which
I was trying to be PG!
I'm not going to that. No, I'm exhausted.
I can tell you how that
Don't
works.
come at me with that.
I can tell you how that would work as well.
Allison, you signed up for this, you remember that.
Hashtag Allison's fault.
Before I open it up to questions for you all, so audience, start thinking.
Guys, keep it PG though, please.
Only for yours. You want to know about the state of my... No, I won't, I'm sorry.
Are there any questions that you all are dying to ask each other? Maybe related to the book, or not, as Wally came up.
Can I talk to your agent?
No, I do want to know, like, just generally what your family thinks about this. You know?
My husband is completely supportive. He's also autistic as fuck, so he doesn't really care. No, he's completely supportive. He's been the backbone for this because he was the one and only voice in my entire life who I believed against my imposter syndrome. My mom was very encouraging. My best friends were very encouraging. My coworkers, my agent, they were all, no, you've got this. You're a good writer. You've got this. My husband's was the only voice that had the volume and clarity to compete with my imposter syndrome. So he has always been, he's the most low-key dude ever. He's never once been excited in his life by anything. You come to accept this about this. He is excited, he just doesn't get outwardly excited. But he was sort of I know everyone speaks so highly of but he really was sort of that guiding light through my own self-doubt and my own self-loathing and the lies that my anxious little brain wanted to tell me about my own skill set. My littles don't give a shit, but they really like that mommy makes money now. That Barbie collection and Hot Wheel collection really showing out for them. The teenager is 17, therefore everything I do is weird. We have a really good relationship, but she has no interest in doing the social media. She briefly got into it and then immediately started getting recognized. And we had an encounter with someone who didn't have any boundaries. So when I said that's enough, they're like, well, can I get a picture of my minor fucking child? I will fight you in a Walmart. Back up. And that was the point at which she's like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. It's like, fair. I get it. So she's been trying to distance herself. But she's got really solid reasons. She's like, I want people to see me doing work as me, not as Gwenna's daughter or Momma Cusses' kid or this social media idea that you have formed of me, whether it is or is not true. I was like, that was really smart. Who taught you that? Because it wasn't me. So she set a boundary and I'm respecting it. But how does your family, are your kids old enough to care yet?
So they are furious that I didn't write a book about a puppy. They're like, but my daughter is 8 and she can read now. And I've seen her because you know when you write a book, they give you 7,000 copies, and it seems really excited at first, but then you have 7,000 copies.
I still have so many.
Oh my god! So I've had to pluck it out because I'm like, this isn't even for you when you're 30. But my wife is a fire captain, and she's a very quiet, calm, even steady person. And so she'll be like, so did you talk about your vagina on TikTok again? And I'm like, yes, I did. And she's like, babe! She doesn't follow any of it because she just does not want to know. But she's like,
my husband doesn't either. He's like, you'll show me what I need to know about, I'm sure.
She's like, so the guy's at work, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. But she's really supportive. She doesn't get it. She doesn't get the need or the want to write and to share like I do. So I'm very protective of, she's in my book, my kids are in my book, but I'm very protective about, like we were talking about earlier, these are my stories. They are part of my stories, but I'm not telling their stories. That's not for me to do. It's not for me to do. I just hope none of them write when they get older.
Yes, some of the stories that I shared it was such a struggle. And my second book comes out in 2026. And it was more of the same of how much of this, because this is two lives intersecting. And for a while, we were running parallel to each other. In some cases, we were the same line. We were sharing this journey together, but then we diverged, and sometimes we've come back together. And it makes this really fascinating tapestry, but how much of those threads where they intersected with mine am I allowed to share? How much of that story belongs solely to me and is mine to do with what I please? And how much of that actually belongs to you as well? Yes, we lived the same experience, but being different humans, we experienced it differently. I cannot infer how this impacted you, but if I share how it impacted me, am I therefore exposing you? It's a very weird place as a girl who just wants to write fancy words. I'm gonna write fiction next.
All right, who has questions? I will give you the microphone.
Gwenna, if you don't have an idea for a fantasy, like a teenage girl, a vampire, a werewolf, they are both into her. It's something that's been,
What if the one fuck sparkles for no reason?
Right? Allison, can you write this?
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it.
Okay.
I'm thinking
She's like a drug to him, his own personal heroin. You can use that. We'll cut right in.
I'm thinking either Bangor, Maine or Washington State.
Somewhere like colon drizz. Yes. Yeah, we've got a book.
Okay, but on that note, I just wanted to mention that the Quileute tribe, it has a donation for moving their reservation to higher ground because they're struggling with like flooding issues impacting the reservation, and they've received no compensation from Stephanie Meyer or anybody with Twilight. So if you would like to donate to the Quileute tribe,
That was me.
you can look up move to higher ground, and they're accepting donations to move their reservation and
We're
working on
looking at
building a school and all kinds of cool stuff.
Absolutely.
And if you are on Facebook and you are on Twilight shit posting, they are currently doing a $1 donation period where if you donate a minimum of $1, you are entered into a drawing. Last year, I believe they raised $40,000 for the cause.
Nice.
So.
Wow, just wanted to bring that up.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on a parenting thing, I guess I kind of, I got started really young in that I was 18 when I became a stepmom to a 6 and a 2-year-old. So now I'm 32. I have, my oldest is gonna be 20. My middle child just turned 16. And my little baby is 5. And I know you know about that age gap. I struggle with the oldest children feeling like I love the baby more because I'm a better parent. But I'm a better parent because I'm in my 30s, and when I started parenting them, I was literally just became an adult at 18.
Yeah.
And I struggle to, because I know I did
So you said
harm.
20 and 16, right?
Yeah.
So at what point have you had that exact same sentence come out of your facial at them? That exact explanation you gave. I am a better parent because I figured some shit out. I didn't know what I was doing with you guys.
Pretty often. I've had conversations with them about, hey, I was 18.
Yeah.
You are 18. You were 18, and you're going to be 18. Do you think right now at this point in your life you would have the capability of effectively parenting you? And I've apologized for the harm that I did do because I didn't know better. And I have learned and grew. And I've told them, I look like I love her more because I'm a better parent. Because I've learned and I've grown, and I hate that it came at the cost of you, and that kills me, and I don't know what to do about it other than to say I'm sorry and just kind of move on. Like I can't go back.
Right. But you do have forward.
Yeah.
So now that you know better, you're not done parenting them.
Yeah. No.
I mean, you know that.
Oh yeah. No. The 20-year-old still lives at home, and
Yeah.
she's still sitting outside the bathroom when I go. and wants to talk and have whole conversations with me.
God damn it, I thought I was almost done with that.
Oh no, that never ends.
I'm not leaving here.
Yeah, you've got forwardness. You've done everything you can. So now what I heard you just say is, I'm still feeling bad. You have to rectify that in you. You've explained to your kids and they will have time to process. You keep being the best parent you can to all three of them, but you need to stop blaming yourself because you used a whole lot of telling language that I'm a better parent now. You were a bad parent before? Is that what you just said to me? Because you weren't. Because bad parents never wonder if they're doing a good job. Good parents never stop thinking they're doing a bad one. So stop blaming yourself and move forward. Also therapy.
You're so smart.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
What is your top tip for twin parents? I have 3.5-year-old identical twin girls, and I know each stage comes with its own challenges, but where yours are right now, what would you say is?
I would say immediately at 3.5, stop matching experiences. Start giving them complementary but different experiences. So if one gets a choo-choo, the other needs a plane. I don't care that you know it's going to start an argument about who's playing with the fucking choo-choo. You need to start differentiating what their experiences are. Complementary, similar, matched in emotional value, because remember, kids don't give a shit about financial value. So you can get one a paper doll collection and get the other a China porcelain doll. They don't care as long as there's a reason that they can emotionally attach to those things. They don't care that there is a cost difference. But start differentiating their experiences slightly now, because now that my children are 6, they are in different classes with each other. My son got to bring a show and tell, and it was not my daughter's show and tell day, and I really thought that bad things were going to happen. The cops were going to end up involved. It was awful. There was such a meltdown because we were so careful in the early days that one was not prioritized over the other. That we would, if one got a choo-choo, the other got a choo-choo. If we couldn't afford two choo-choos, there were no choo-choos. Okay? Now is the time to begin splitting that experience so they are accustomed to being different people instead of carbon copies of one another. I'm sure you're already doing that emotionally. You got to start doing that materialistically as well.
Hi. So now that you're both published authors and like to some extent on the internet talking about parenting, has that changed like your experience parenting or the pressures that you feel as a parent as like kind of like a public figure in the space?
I have definitely, I'm very, very aware now of how much time I have to spend doing this authory thing, because I don't want to have been the woman to write a book about parenting and then when my kids are asked in 20 years, so your mom was a parenting unexpert and had a best-selling book on parenting, they're like, yeah, we don't actually remember her parenting us, but I guess the book was cool. I've been very aware of what the cost of my time is, and the cost of that time is almost always not monetary. It's not the elapse of time, it's how much time I'm required to not be parenting while I'm doing this stuff, helping other parents parent.
I mean, I don't have a huge social media presence. It seems like a lot of pressure. So I don't have a very similar experience. I do have a lot of parents who come up to me, and I feel like it has grown my community because they're like, yes, mornings suck. Caroline is the worst thing that could happen to you. It's terrible. So it has grown my community. But luckily for me, my book is messy, very messy, and everyone is certain that I don't know what I'm doing. So, you know, I have no real pressure. I don't want that pressure going on.
What's your next book about?
What's
your next book about?
Parenting.
Okay.
Whew, yeah, I'm working on it.
No pressure, okay.
Hi, I just wanted to comment. I am a twin. And I would say that, yeah, allowing your kids to do what they want to do and not forcing the match is helpful. My sister and I spent a lot of time trying to be different from each other, only to find out that we're very, very similar. And it just was, yeah, it was a very organic way to strengthen our relationship. And also just wanted to thank you both because I found a lot of nuggets in this panel discussion today that I'm happy I was here for. So thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And you're holding a little nugget.
That is a good nap. I need a nap
Also,
like that.
can we just say you are wearing the best shirt in the whole world? Vote like your daughter's rights depend on it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you very much. Older mom, started out old as a mom, and grew up though with Dick Van Dyke, first generation. Before that, the TV show didn't exist when the Dreamland or whatever. So over the years, we learned from our experiences and other people who shared, which is so valuable. And thank you for sharing. And I cannot think of the woman's name who wrote 3 books in the 90s about if she hadn't had cocktails, her kids would be dead, and this and that, because she was so crazy. But there was Phyllis Diller. There was Dick Van Dyke. That has not changed. We still have Phyllis Dillers, and we still have Dick Van Dykes. Where are the Jerry Lewis or the crazy parent men examining the process? Our sons are not getting that because we tend to, if you can see it, you can be it, and they don't see it. How many men are in this circle? What can we do to help broaden our circles so that our males can come along the way our females have? And until we do, it's just too problematic for females.
I disagree that our men are not coming with us. In that, right now, the stats are we have more stay-at-home dads per capita than we've had cumulatively through history. We have higher engagement rates of men, fathers, showing up at their children's school events, at volunteering at their children's schools. Men are playing an average of 30% more with their children than their fathers played with them. So if what you're looking for is the figureheads, the talking heads going, we are men, we are fathers, we are proud, I don't know that they're ready for that. They're still breaking through a lot of misandry and misogyny. And I think they're doing a good job. And I think when we say, well, they're not coming, we are having to remind ourselves where to look for them. The women just got a voice in the last 40 years. We couldn't have credit cards when you were a child. So yeah, there's a lot of women talking about it way more, but I think in the background, the men are realizing they're coming too, whether they want to or not. So many. Hands shut up. I'm always concerned when I finish talking and like, oh fuck, what did I say wrong?
Well, as your resident licensed psychologist who also cusses, that's usually the first thing I say, by the way, your psychologist cusses. And I might actually cuss in front of your children. I agree, I think men are coming along.
Yeah.
I think what she's saying is men, we would love to see men speak up more publicly, like on the TikTok and thing like the Green brothers do, the Hank John Green do.
Well, and there's a ton of really good, there's dumb dad pods. They're fantastic, and it's just guys talking about parenting things.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
They're there, but you're right, they're not as big as they probably should be.
But leaving open. So I love that you talk about how this generation is able to apologize more and adapt and have more of a growth model of parenting. It's like, I'm growing, I'm learning too, just like they're learning, we're learning. And you talked about your worst moment. What was your best?
My best is when I got a call from my daughter's school and they said, we need you to come up and talk to us real quick. I was like, oh fuck. All right. Now, my kid has never been problematic. My kid has never really had discipline issues. It's all the same stuff. Lots of talking in class, got a little overexcited and shoved a kid, they called it a fight. But it was all said and done, it was just age-appropriate behavior. No one got suspended, no one got in trouble. We just had to have a discussion about keeping our hands to ourselves. But this particular time, they wanted me to come up, and they're like, this is really unusual, but there's a mom that wants to talk to you. And this was a little before my social media meant anything. I was doing it, but I didn't have a following that meant anybody recognized me yet. And they're like, would you be okay with meeting with this other mom? I was like, I don't know, what you telling me, what the fuck is going on? But it's good, it's good, it's good. So it turns out that my eldest daughter they had just come to a new school because of how our school breaks out. They had a school jump. And she came up with a girl who had spent her entire time in the special ed program. She was not incorporated into the general education because of her social education issues. Well, when they moved up to the next school, they changed her IEP, and this little girl was allowed to be in the general education population for specific periods of the day. That's a very common practice. My daughter looked at this little girl and immediately recognized that she was feeling unsafe and uncomfortable. So my daughter went over and was like, I'm Abby, what's your name? And started talking to her, and then walked her to class. And then started walking her to every first period class, and then would pick her up after third period and take her, because their classes were right next to each other, and she had a first and a third period general education class. So every time she was in the general education class, my daughter would come fetch her out of her way and then hightail it across the school building to make it to her own class. And this mom said, I didn't think my daughter was going to make it. They recommended that she went to gen ed, and I thought this was going to break her, and she was going to be right back in special ed. She goes, I have every understanding that I will die being the caretaker of my daughter, and I will have to make sure that she is taken care of when I am gone. And people like your daughter proved to me that it'll be okay. And I was like, that's my kid. I did that. Next.
Okay. Okay, so the good thing about, you have a worst moment, but there are so many best moments, I feel like. Like, I have a rock bottom moment, but we have lots of bests, right? Because there's so many good ones. So I started working full-time. I was part-time the entire time when my youngest were little. So my daughter was born almost 9 years ago. I've mostly been at home. And I got a full-time job teaching at the college in August. I didn't want it. I didn't want it. But my wife was like, girl. And so I took it. And I thought, like, I'm not gonna be able to write. I'm not gonna be able to, like, my creative brain it's gonna be gone. I'm not gonna be able to take care of my kids at this level. I go to every field trip. I take their goddamn teachers' lattes. So I'm like, that's a on your radar bitch latte. I love those teachers. I love them, but like, you're on my radar, I want to be on your radar, you've got my babies all day long and I have no control, and I just want you to know that I'm here to help you, we're together in this, you know, yeah, we're together. And so I just really thought that once I started working, I wouldn't be able to do that stuff, I wouldn't be able to be there. And for this, what are we doing? What is the word for what we're doing?
Festival.
Yes, for our festival. I took Wednesday, Thursday.
You're better, right?
Yeah, oh God. I took 3 days off, and Wednesday was a field trip for my 8-year-old, and I took the day off of work, and I went, and I've just felt like a chaos monkey, just like I'm not doing anything. Nothing's really getting done. It's like half-assing every single thing in my life. And I went, I packed lunches, I sat down with all my daughter's little friends, and we were eating, I was eating just my crap Lunchable, and I was just like feeling bad. Like I was like, I'm just not doing anything right. And are we gonna cry during this part?
I get to cry during this part. Yeah, I've already done it, it's your turn.
And I'm looking at my little girl who's just, wonderful. And she just kind of like smiles because she's diagonal and she's got all these friends like lined up, and I never thought she was a pandemic kid, so I never thought we would have all the friends, And she whispered to the little girl next to her, and the little girl looked at me and she said, she says you're the very best mom in the whole world. And And I'm not, but I'm the best mom. I'm the best mom for her. So that was one of these moments that I was like, God, I'm sweaty, I'm disgusting. I don't even know if I wore deodorant today. My lunch sucks. But my kid thinks I'm doing it right. And like, it mattered. I needed that, you know? And I was like, you think I'm the best? And she was like, you are the best. And I was like,
I'm telling your other mom.
Winning. And what's funny, I had felt so bad for her because at our school, we have to drive for the field trips, which is weird. But we don't have buses. So you load up all these kids, like parents sign their permission.
American education is the best.
Oh my God, it's so, and so like I just have all these strange kids in my car. They're not strange, but they're strangers. And one of the kids got in and I felt so embarrassed for my daughter, and he was like, our car's a little cleaner. I'm like, I spent the last 45 minutes at the car wash for you. And so I've just been feeling bad, you know? I was like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassing. And then she said that, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm the best. Yeah, I am her best, you know? Okay.
Last week before we left, my kids proved that they can tie their shoe and read, so I'm fucking done, y'all.
All right, on that note, unfortunately, we do have to end to do some book signing, but if you did have remaining questions, please feel free to ask them while you're getting your book signed that you purchased. Thank you so much. But seriously,